we haven't set up at my house in a while, so it's kind of it's a little feels janky right now to us on this side. I hope it looks good on camera because we're kind of like, I don't know.
We're smushed in here and
We're smushed.
We're practically sitting on top of each other.
Yeah.
And we don't have our lighting, so we're like all discombobulated. But what we do have is cheers. And drink.
I have mine foamed up. I have to wait for it to go down a little bit. So I can't even, I cheers and set my drink down. It's a big no-no. All right. So we do have 2 meetups tonight. My goodness, we have Beltane at 6, and then at 7:30 we have the last
Feng Shui. We have part 3 of Feng Shui at 7:30.
7:30, yeah.
At 7:30. So
we'll
as you can see, Jamie made our crowns for us today.
Yeah.
She just whipped these up in about 5 minutes from whatever kind of stuff she had in the basement.
My excessive craft collection.
She's like a crown making extraordinaire. Market this stuff, I swear. So,
well, I don't know if where you guys are at, wherever you are around the world, in the United States, wherever, but if you have like muscadine grapevines that grow or any kind of grapevines in general, I really just go out and collect the vines from it. And then I weave them into a circle and I let them dry. And then I put fake flowers and moss or whatever into each of the crowns. And it's just, besides flowers that I do always try to get on sale, it's a pretty cheap and, you know, effective holiday decor item to wear. And sunflowers, of course, because Beltane, this is like the sun holiday, the big summer, marking the beginning of summer. So sunflowers to celebrate. What?
Tank's checking out the other end of the room.
We have the pup in here too. We're all squeezed into a very small little studio.
All right, so let's see what everything. Oh, thank you, Joan. Joan says we look beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate that comment.
Headdresses are my favorite.
I love headdresses. They are my favorite too.
They're my favorite. I love making them. I love wearing them. I told my husband that from now on, when I garden outside, I think I'm just going to start wearing different floral crowns that I've made, like watering the plants and just see what the neighbors say. And it's like,
are you going to be wearing your bikini or something else?
You know what? Sometimes I water my bikini.
I can visualize that black bikini and yellow or whatever, some flower crown headdress.
Yes, I know.
You know what? Magical. Anybody going down the road is going to do a double take. This is a dead end road that she lives on, so there's not that many people. But the other day we did see like Florida Power and Light or Sarasota County, and then somebody's putting up a fence. So you know, then you got the construction guys. Woo-hoo!
Oh my gosh!
All right, so
you're twisty tiny. I love it, but you're not giving to me. Like,
I'm sorry, I got the twisty turny chair. I have the rotating chair. Jamie's on a little stool.
I'm on a small stool.
All right, I'll stop moving. Oh, look at your kitty, Joan. So cute.
So tonight is about Beltane.
Let's get started.
What do you know about Beltane? Because now this will be our second time doing this meetup. We did one last year, obviously. What can you remember about Beltane?
I remember that Beltane is the holiday that has to do with people getting together and kind of like forming relationships or even marriages.
Union.
And that babies conceived at this time are born in February, which happens to be Jamie's birthday. So she's a Beltane baby. So this is a time of romance and love and marriages and courting and all those just wonderful things. And that's what I remember about it, besides it being like all light and pretty and
long
days and just all those really happy, it's a very happy time. The sun is out, the days are long, they're warm, the flowers are blooming or starting to bloom,
the birds and bees are happy,
the birds and bees are doing what birds and bees do, and so are people.
I mean, this is the time.
So how well did I do, boss?
Listen. I am so thoroughly surprised. That was beautiful.
So listen, so you guys know Jamie's 25 years into her practice and I am 3 years into mine. So when she quizzes me like this, it's kind of a big deal that I can recount these things, recall these things, because, you know, I'm 59. So the memory's not all right. I lied a little bit. I stretched it.
I'm 41.
She's 41
yeah,
and she's 41 and I'm her mom.
And you had me when you were like 10, right? So you're 51, is that right? So we're really
Something like that. I was old enough to drink when I had her.
Yeah.
And anyway, so for me to be able to recall those details, and for you too, if you're new to this, like it's good to remember what these holidays are about, because then you don't have to go grab a book and be like, oh, what does my altar look like? What's my altar decor? What kind of things am I celebrating this time of year? What am I supposed to, oops,
I don't know what that was.
what, you know, what can I do to honor this holiday or celebrate this holiday and decorate in my house? We just had Ostara, which
feels like it went by really fast.
Feels like it did go by really fast.
6 weeks ago.
6 weeks ago was Ostara.
Yeah.
Wow. Is time flying for anybody else besides us? Because we are just like, wow, all of a sudden it's going to be May 1st. Yeah. And then summer. Anyway, so.
Well, Kat was speaking of books and references, and I do want you guys to know that this is the only book that I use. I've done internet searches, but this is just the Llewellyns, one of their holiday books. They have 8 of them, and it's like one of the only, well, not only, but it's one of the first things that come up on Amazon if you search for it. They're about $12. They do go on sale sometimes for, you know, $8 or $9. Buying them used is also okay, because most of the time people get them as reference books, don't use them, and then turn them into like Goodwill.
Yeah, so a good website for that is Alibris, Alibris. So like live for used books, which is where I'm gonna get the rest of mine. So they're good investments because there's a lot of information in there that you can refer back to. So good investment for when you're ready to do that and grow your book collection.
I mean, it's references and the holidays. The 8 holidays, if you really love the turning of the seasons as much as I did, it was one of the first things that I got into when I decided I'm going to be a witch. I'm a pagan, because I called myself pagan first. I was like, I want to live more like the old school pagans. I want to believe that the land is what really feeds our souls. And so I went with the holidays first. Now, these were not out when I started, so they've been so cool to purchase the entire set and just like look through each one and get more and more references. And they do some updates every once in a while. So there's a couple of them that have like 2 different publication dates, you know, they're maybe 5 or 6 years apart. So lots of great information. So that is the book that if you want to reference, we can take a picture and put it in the meetup so that you have it. But it's a nice collection of so many things that are around Beltane, because of course, the holidays that we know right now as modern witches were created, put together by Gerald Gardner, who is sort of the person who brought Wicca to the United States. Well, actually somebody else, but he created it in Europe. And this was kind of like establishing a witch community. And so I'm not a Gardner follower, but I don't mind that he created all of these things together to bring us a consensus for the northern and southern hemisphere, to have us all sort of celebrating as one. I really honor that by calling it the name that he's given it, because what he did was he looked at all of the different cultures throughout the world, and especially in Europe, where a lot of the pagan myths and stuff come from, the Celts, and he picked holiday names that were close enough to the ancient ways that we would be able to say in our modern language. So Beltane has a couple different names associated with it. Of course, we know it in the States sometimes as May Day. This is one of the ways that the holiday was Christianized, and so we could still celebrate it, but not under a pagan name. Which, you know, it's, call it what you want. You just call it May 1st and say the beginning of summer. I mean, some people just say, oh, May 1st marks the beginning of summer, and that's okay. Remembering the names of them is only helpful when you're in the circle talking to other people about the holiday. So with Beltane, I guess I'll jump right into it, right? It's 16.
Yeah. You're in.
I'm in. Yeah, we started. So Beltane, the easiest way to really remember what this holiday is about is to think about the origin word of Beltane means bright fire or sacred fire. And it is all about the sun's return. And you can find the deity stories about The maiden, the earth now, she's at her maiden stage. If you've got the triple moon goddess symbols, we're at the maiden stage of everything, where life is just beginning to be implanted into stuff, or coming into that fruition a little bit. It's not full grown, it's not the mother stage, it's not the crone stage, it's just at the beginning stages. And this is why marriage, union, childbirth, growth, abundance, like anything that brings new life, this is carried on from a star waking up the earth after winter to now the sun is feeding these plants, it's feeding our souls, it's bringing light into our lives, the warmth back into the communities. So this is a big fire holiday. We celebrate this because it is actually the day roughly between the equinox and the summer solstice. So a brief history of the 8 holidays, they happen every 6 weeks roughly. We have 4 of them that are celestial events, 2 equinoxes and 2 solstices. And then we have the in-between days. Because why not have a party every 6 weeks?
Yeah, because witches like to party.
Witches like to party.
We love to celebrate.
Cheers.
I mean,
oh my gosh, you're almost empty. Cheers, you guys. Let's just celebrate every time the earth is like doing stuff. So this is the official beginning of summer. And for everybody, that means something different. So as I do read you guys the references that come from here, the stories that I just know from talking to people, things that I've done, this is really about building your practice for celebrating summer and what that looks like for you. So I know that I was in Washington State like 5 summers ago, and they just have wild berries everywhere. So if I lived in Washington State, my holiday would definitely center around wild berries, because that's what's in the land. Being in Florida, the only thing that grows right now is like sweet potatoes, peppers, flowers. Flowers definitely grow, coconuts still grow, but we're really limited on what grows through the summer because it is so hot here, unless you have
so where is everybody? Well, we already know we have someone from Tennessee here, but in the chat where you're from, so we can get an idea if you're from around different parts of the country where you might be celebrating in a different way than we are here in Florida, because it's already 85 or 90 degrees sometimes. So.
Where are you swimming in the pool?
Georgia, Iowa.
Yeah.
Ooh. Wow.
Georgia's
Austin, New York, Missouri. Oh my God.
Our old homeland-ish.
This is so cool.
So
Florida, California, all the way from that's home state for us. San Diego's
that's the home.
Home. Yeah, that's
hey,
home.
St. Petersburg, so close neighbor. You get it then. You've been in your swimsuit for over a month now, right? Like hitting the beaches.
Miami. Oh yeah. It's hot. Got to be hotter than Miami than it is here.
Oh, I'm getting hot just thinking about it.
Anyway, thank you for sharing that with us. It's so interesting to see where everyone is from and to think about the different climates in that part of the country. In the Midwest, I lived 30 years in Kansas City, so I'm very familiar with that Midwest weather. And we can still have a snowstorm between now and like the middle of May.
And in Denver,
and frost,
and like Colorado. I remember last year they got a big snowstorm in May or something crazy.
Yeah, some crazy weather out there. Yeah.
Well, so your May day you could have a maypole and accidentally get snow on it. I mean, that would be really different. But we have to appreciate the fact that with the cold, that's how a lot of plants need the temperature to actually go down below 70 degrees. This is common with like 90% of plants. It needs to go under 70 degrees at night in order for the plant to produce a fruit. So we do have to be thankful for the cooler nights as long as they're here, because that means there's still food being produced in areas. So I went through, now, depending on when you want to celebrate, I want to tell you that we celebrate as seasons. It does not have to be on a specific day, even though we say it's May 1st, it's the season of beginning of summer. So if you are busy, if you have plans, if you're doing something, celebrating it on May 5th, on May 15th, those are days that are acceptable completely, because you're still in the season of the beginning of summer.
And celebrating can mean different things. It can mean
I have a whole thing.
You've got okay. So just
stuff.
in case you don't know what celebrating means, like wearing a crown, she's got a list of things that you might do over the course of the next 6 weeks or so.
Yeah.
Anytime during this season of Beltane, these activities would be appropriate. So don't feel like because May 1st is coming up on Sunday that you have to do anything by Sunday, because you don't.
No.
You've got weeks to do it. So,
Mhm.
and it will depend on where you are in the country and
What your weather might be like.
what your weather might be like and your plants and things like that.
So before I get into like, I've got magical stuff for you guys to do, spells that you might want to focus on, things within your home. But first, I wanted to give you a couple of correspondences that you'll have when you're thinking about what this holiday represents to you. And what I urge you to do is hopefully you guys are keeping a journal or notes of some kind, your book of shadows or your grimoire for correspondences. But I'm going to list things and I want you to only write down the things that actually apply to you. Like you don't have to list all of them. If it's something you're not going to do that doesn't interest you, don't worry about writing it down because it doesn't matter. What matters is that the things that you want to do, how you want to celebrate it, and what pertains to you. So there's themes around each holiday. And I love to go over that first so that you can get an idea of things that people are out doing during this time. And this is the themes around the beginning of summer are, of course, growth. And then there's protection, because this was a time when we led cattle out into the fields and walked them through fires, trying to rid them of diseases or bugs or that was just a form. Humans themselves walked around fires, cleared themselves in smoke. So that's the protection side of it. Abundance, of course, we're bringing life back into the earth with the sun. Fertility, this is baby making season for a lot of animals and maybe humans too. This is a holiday about light. So whether it's warmth at night or light during the day, anything revolving around light, fires, electric lights, whatever brings light into your life or your home. And then, of course, love and sexuality. And then an increase in strength. So this is kind of like an odd one to point out, but as the sun is in our lives, we can grow in strength as well. We're able to be outside more. We can get physically fit in the sun. It's healthy for you to spend time in the sun. I understand, skin cancer and using sunblock to a degree, but us, when we're deprived of sun, we get deficiencies. So vitamin D and K. So being in the sun is healthy for us. Being in that light, it helps with depression. It livens your mood. Getting into the fact
there's a reason why the sun has a happy face.
And yellow, the associated color, is the color of happiness.
Yeah.
So right now what's happening, if you'll notice, maybe you have a place where you always see a certain shadow, or what time the sun sets every night. Sunsets are getting later. We're gaining like a minute a day of sun. Did I say that right? A minute a day of sunlight every day. So sunset is getting later and later in the day. So that means days are technically longer because we're building right now up to the longest day of the year, which is midsummer, the holiday, June 22nd, which is 20th, 21st. Yeah, the holiday of Letha. So the other thing that's happening is the earth is providing bounty for us. So eating things that are from the earth and maybe staying, I want to say away from meat, but I mean, like doing less of that and eating more fruits and vegetables, things that actually come from the earth, because that's solar energy. It's grown with solar energy and earth energy. So it's the perfect time to be, I'm not going to say vegan, not going to go there, but eating lots of fruits and vegetables and things that are in season where you're at, like that maybe grow close. So I do have in the list of things to do. Visit a farmer's market and meet somebody who really grows this food and they had to start it in February, indoors probably, bring it outside, harden it off, continue to water it and love it every single day before it's brought to you to be consumed as food. So if you think about the attention that plants get in order to make it to stores, in order to make it to farmers markets, there's a lot of love there. I would say you could, I shouldn't say
Tender, loving
love, but
well,
food has
TLC
been love.
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because those things take attention
Yes.
and care. There's
care.
a lot of care that goes into it. This is a wonderful time of year. I remember being in Kansas City, and if anybody, I know I saw some Missouri folks, I don't know if anyone would happen to be from the Kansas City area, but there's a farmer's market in downtown. And so in the wintertime, there's things like squash and, those kind of root vegetables. But then this time of the year is when fruits and other things start coming out and jams and all this stuff. And like you go down there and there's just every week that you go down, there's more and more variety of things that are coming out of the fields. And it's just a wonderful time to visit your local farmer's market or those roadside stands where they're selling peaches or strawberries or whatever. I mean, you can only get these things certain times of the year. So I think that's what we're heading into, that season where we can celebrate this bounty of things that we only get during a particular season.
Yes. So with that, the decor that you can bring into your home, I actually have that thing we made. I don't know where it's at. We'll get up and get it at the end. We made a couple crafts 2 weeks ago.
Oh yes, we made wreaths.
We made some wreaths.
Yeah.
But so May fires, this is a great time to have a fire in dedication to health or protection. May bushes are an old tradition. It's kind of like a Christmas tree, but it's a bush and it's decorated with like flowers. So that is from the 1600s. So it's not as old as, before Christianity, but it's something that they got into because they wanted to bring more of the flowers about. And of course, in cities, it's harder to grow flowers in places. So they would actually cut them from the fields, bring them in and decorate the bushes around their house. Well, of course, with anything that's like, look at me decorate, you had people who did jokes and they would steal each other's bushes from in front of their house. And then you would have a house with no May bushes. You'd have houses with 20 May bushes. So there was actually a time in the 1700s where May bushes were outlawed because it caused such mischievous actions that they didn't want to deal with it. I think that's hilarious. It's like, let's decorate a bush. Let's go steal a bush. Like,
this reminds me of stuff that we did when I was a kid, where we were very mischievous in our neighborhood with TPing people's houses.
Did you do it at this time?
And taking their lawn ornaments and swiping them, and it's like the gnome that goes all around the world. You take pictures of it.
Listen, right now is when everybody's energy is amped up, so people get a little crazier, they get a little out there. That's why it's maybe easier to meet people, show your colors, to get out there. So if you guys live anywhere where people have had May kings and queens, I want you to know that this is actually a really ancient practice where this was the Mother Earth and the Father Sun coming together. So the May queen actually chose her male companion, which was rare throughout history. Like the female never got to be in charge, but the May queen always got to choose her male companion. And so I just mentioned that. I've never been to one. I've never seen it anywhere. I just know.
You talking about Sadie Hawkins dance? Is that type of a thing?
I don't know.
Where the girl gets to pick the guy? No. Is that Sadie Hawkins? Who knows?
I don't know what that is.
I think so. Yeah. So Sadie Hawkins, where the girls ask the guys out, which is never that way. We live in an upside down world.
It's not just that the girls ask the guys out. It's like the guys line up to be chosen, and then she gets her pick of the litter. That's the right way to say it. Yeah. So the men are trying to impress the women. So this was very much a time when men were like trying to do their best. They had, sort of the Olympics started in this way where you had physical tests to show that you were the man that could provide, to show that you were the one with strength.
You were virile.
You were ready to go.
Yeah.
All right. And lastly, around this holiday, you guys, this is the season that fairies start. Whether you believe in them or not, they're also known as the city, which can be really mischievous. They love dairy and coins and like to cause mischief if you enter their land and don't give them an offering. So I do have a pretty expansive yard, and it was neglected for a long time. So when I moved into my house, just in case I had any fairy dwellings that, and they were upset because the yard looked like crap. And the guy who lived here, like, he threw beer cans all over the yard the day we bought the house because he was really pissed off that we got it. He was not happy to part with it.
He was not a good steward of this property.
He was not. And so since I've livened it up, added lots of flowers, returned like all kinds of wildlife to this land, I leave out at some point during the summer a little thing of milk, usually coconut or almond milk because I don't drink cow's milk, but a little thing of milk, some coins, something shiny, and then I put things around that they can tinker with, play with, that I'll find in random places. So loving the fairy association with Beltane all the way through to midsummer. Okay, next is like what to do during this holiday that doesn't have to seem magical. It doesn't take a lot out of you. But number one, nature walks. Anytime that you can get out in nature and watch things bloom and see the things that are going on, watching birds, just watch their pattern. Like, what can you learn from them by watching the birds and what they're doing and how they care for each other? Just today, we both just put water things up. What is it?
Bird feeders?
The water bowl thing for the birds. A bird
bath.
A bird bath.
The bird bath.
Sometimes I can't find my English words. We put up bird baths, and mine has yet to have any birds in it. And today, I had a cardinal pair. The male was getting water and the female was on the ground around my flowers. He went over and got a bug out of the flowers and like gave it to her. And I watched this from my window and I was just in such awe. First off, I love cardinals. They're beautiful. But to finally see my bird bath get used and to watch him feed her was like, that is the sweetest thing. Like she must be heavy. She must be pregnant or something. You know, he's caring for her.
So I just bought a bird bath for my garden
Like 3 days ago.
like on the weekend. I think it was a weekend. Or I was on vacation last week, so I did a bunch of yard work. I did a bunch of yard work and stuff. And one of the things I did was bought this bird feeder. And Jamie was telling me how the birds didn't visit her bird bath. And the very next day, as soon as I put mine up, I had birds on them.
I know.
But here's the most magical thing ever. On Easter,
On Christian Easter.
on Christian Easter,
Mm-hmm.
I had a pair of ducks in my pool swimming around and bathing and cleaning themselves
Really
for like 20 minutes. It was so, I could have just stood there. I took like 20 videos, you know. I had to pick which one was the best one to post to social media because it was so cool. I've never seen them in my pool before. And they were like swimming around and he was kind of hovering over her. So he was like real protective. She was dunking her head in. She was getting bugs out of the pool and things like that. It was just the cutest, sweetest thing ever.
So that's one idea. Doesn't require anything for you except for you to be out and about and be attentive to nature. Any kind of gardening, even if it's indoor plants. Potlucks and gatherings are huge during this time of year because this is a season of unions, and it doesn't have to be love and romance. It can be friendships as well. So any kind of potlucks that you want to hold, gatherings between friends. I put something on here that I've never done before. I wish somebody did this when I was single, maybe, I don't know. But a singles gathering, how come more single people don't get together and say, everybody who has a person, stay home? Like we need to all meet and mingle so that we can figure out who has what in common. I mean, so this is something that they did a long time ago. All of the single men and women would meet at these big bonfires and, you know, show
This
off.
is when it was villages, though.
It was
you know,
villages.
maybe like a couple of villages. Now we're
I live in
this-
Nokomis Village. I mean, there's still villages out there.
I live in Venice Retirement Village. That doesn't mean there's not romance there.
There could be romance there.
I just haven't found it yet.
Late life romance, later in life romance. Romance for the mature. How about that?
Well, I have actually thought about, there's a lot of older
single women.
older women,
Mhm.
and I mean like my
Much
mother,
older
like
than
much,
her.
like
Yeah.
a lot older than me, like my mother's age, who, you know, their spouses have passed on. Like, I need to get a card game going and invite these ladies over. But I feel like they're so lonely, you know, and they would really just like that interaction. So
Yeah, it's a blessing to share good company. You know, you don't have to be best friends with people, but just to feel the connection between us here, because sometimes we all feel so alone. I know we talk about this, especially as beginner witches, feeling very alone in it because you don't know anybody else who's into it or into it the way
and
you
that was what
are.
stopped me. I thought about all of my neighbors coming to my house and seeing all my witch stuff, and I was like, oh shit. I don't know. Some of them would probably be like,
it's not that
I
bad.
have like witch books everywhere.
Yeah, you just, you know,
If they read it, if they noticed, they would see a stack of witch books. And I'm not going to move them because
No.
I am who I am. So
I want to remind you guys, she has a pentagram painted on her house at the top.
I do.
I painted it. So it's not
true.
like coming inside is what they need before they know. People can drive by and see it.
If they look up.
Oh, okay. So
I
basically,
don't know if they look up.
if they look at the house, they're like, oh, look, there's a pentagram on the top of that.
What's that thing up there?
What's that star and
Ah.
circle together? Pentacle, not a pentagram, but a pentacle. With the circle around it is the pentacle. The pentagram is just the 5 pointed star. Okay, so we did say this is the farmer's market. There's also dancing. If you can go out and dance and move your body, that is the energy of this holiday. Going on blind dates. So this was next to the singles party thing. I used Match like 12 years ago.
So is it time for me to
2010.
get back on the dating site?
I'm not saying that at all.
Maybe it is. Maybe that's the energy, the season's energy.
It's a season of meeting people. So
yeah. I'm sort of feeling that vibe.
protection for your home. So any kind of and I don't mean like spell work. I mean, check your locks. If you have video cameras, when are the batteries done? When's the last time you checked the windows or, stuff for your car, making sure that you're just being safe. Because
Smoke detectors.
Smoke detectors. what we know about summer is that as summer gets hotter and hotter, more and more acts against people happen. And usually it's only because there's more chances to run into people, because in the wintertime, we're all in our homes, maybe not in Florida,
Freezing our butts off.
you know, a lot of the country is not out and about. So it's summertime when people are able to get out, there's just more altercations, there's more things going on. There is more mischievousness between people, or people that have been stuck in their home.
That's true.
So protection for your home in the real physical sense, non-magic. And then anything that you can do to create. Remember, this is the time when the earth and the sun are creating together. They're creating plants. They're watching unions happen together. I mean, this is like the world they get to watch. So anything that you can create, draw, paint, sketch, you know, you don't have to show anybody, just do it for yourself. I love puzzles, and I started putting together a puzzle, and that's my creation thing right now. And then I did make these. I mean, I was like,
you did make
in
those,
a snap.
yeah.
Anything working with your hands, and then cleaning and purifying your home, again, in the non-magical sense, where I have this challenge for anybody who's really serious about wanting to redo a room or clean out old stuff. And it's a big challenge, so only take on what you can. But you basically go into the room that you want, you remove everything, every single thing. If there's a bed in there, you're taking it out. Whatever's in there, you remove it. And then you clean everything down, and you only bring back in the stuff that you really want in there. It's decorating with intention. It's bringing stuff into your space with intention. It has a purpose. You know why it's there. You want to use it again. Oh my gosh. So with that, a good way to only bring back into your space the things that are really useful, that you want. And once they're not in there anymore, and they're already like closer to the door, it's sometimes easier to just let it go and be like, yeah, I really don't use this. I don't need it. You know, it's already moved. Let me just deal with it now. So small challenge for purifying your home is getting rid of the stuff that doesn't serve you, stuck energy. Okay. Lastly is take a trip, be adventurous, get out there. Again, this is just like movement and being out in the sun somewhere. Kat and I are going to be going down to Key West, hopefully this month.
In May.
We're trying to plan that. We're trying to get that done. Of course, that's very hot down there, and I love it. I just love the Key West vibe. But that's our trip during the May season. And then Mother's Day, of course, doing something nice for your mother, possibly. Don't buy all the books. Do not go on and order all the books. You'll ruin everything. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Okay.
I'm so excited.
Okay, so that's like the non-magical stuff you guys can do. You are not required to do anything besides know something. This is like, you're here for knowledge. Knowing it is just part of it. What you observe from that after you know the stuff, that's what you can do to make the holiday personal and special for you. If you want to do spells, though, I did write out some spell stuff. Nothing super specific, but if you were already thinking about certain kinds of spells and I name it, there's a little nudge from the universe to tell you to go ahead and do it. You're already thinking it. Now I'm going to say it. It's like, you know, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, hey, hey. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, of course, any kind of candle spells, this is a fire holiday. So if you want to make candles, if you want to decorate them, if you want to bless them, whatever you want to do with candles, you don't actually have to perform a spell, but you can get spell candles ready if you want to. So anything with fire, though, also, if you have a bunch of dead stuff that you removed in the spring from your yard and you need to burn it, have a bonfire, invite a couple people over, roast marshmallows.
Would this be a good time for getting rid of things? Like
always.
Like, you know, burning stuff that you no longer want? Like pictures of your ex-boyfriend?
Pictures, letters, you know, do non-toxic stuff. But yeah, that's the purification part of this, you know. And remember what we always say about if you have old stuff from old relationships, that's blocked energy for inviting something new into your life. So
yeah, I just came across a couple of my favorite pictures of my ex, and I was like, oh, they're still here? What are they doing here? And so then what did I do with them? I put them in a box so I could deal with them later. Because I didn't want to deal with them right at that particular moment. I was working on my knowledge blah, and I was like, oh, I thought I got rid of these. Oh, shit. That was like one of my favorite pictures of us. Damn it. So
you can do what I did. I got little tiny stickers that were dog's faces, and I put them over my ex's face so that I could still keep the picture but not have to look at his mug.
But then I can see his body, which is like,
So you get a giraffe sticker and you make it long like the thing.
I'm drooling. Sorry.
I need to come over and help her, you guys. She's gonna need help letting this go.
It's that time of year.
Oh man. So with magical focuses, moving on from your relationship stuff, we can see where Kat stories are gonna go over the next couple months. You guys get ready for it.
Yeah, sorry guys.
It's gonna be good. I hope you do.
I'm sure I'm not the only one. Raise your hand. I'm just kidding.
We don't have to out anybody.
You know who you are.
If anybody ends up going on a blind date, though, we would love to hear about it. I mean, you can just text us, message us through, whatever.
Well, I've been off the dating apps for like 6 months. Maybe it's time to go back.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe.
So
it's a good time of year because there's lots of light and things to do.
There
and
is
stuff
lots
like
of
that.
outdoor
The winter is not as easy. It is.
Drab.
It's cold and everything closes early and it's dark. Anyway, sorry to distract.
All right. Well, you know how you're always like, so you guys, you know what's happened with Jamie lately? I get to do that to you tonight.
Uh-oh.
So you guys, you know what's happened with Kat lately, which has been pretty hard, but she has lost both fathers in her life in the last month. And within a 1 month
Why
time.
you gotta bring up hard stuff?
Because this is the clearing out right before the season starts. That was end of winter stuff. That was the last of the dark days from the dark half of the year.
So my father died March 12th, and then my stepdad, who raised me, was like more like
He was
father.
actually there.
He was actually the father that was there.
He was my
words.
granddad.
He died April 10th. It's like, oh shit, that's really close. That's really close together to lose two dads.
Yeah,
that's kind of a big deal.
It's a big deal. And last year, when we were going over her love gloss stuff, this is really getting into it, you guys. Last year, when we were doing tarot, the tarot kept telling her that she needed to deal with other issues before focusing on love. And we decided that we would fly out and see the bio father, who she hadn't seen since she was like 11. My sister and I had never met. And we did. We got that one visit in with him. And we all said to each other when we were leaving there, we're like, we're never going to see him again, because he's in bad health and all these things. But the universe had us go there and take that time out to deal with it, to hear from him, the story.
Well, for me, it was closing a chapter. I needed to close that. I needed to finish that chapter because I've been holding on to this shit for like 45 years, from not seeing him. And to say, I forgive you and I love you. And so I did. And
so did he. He was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So
what the card said, that until she dealt with this stuff, her love life was going to be on hold. So now is the season.
I didn't even think about that.
I always think about it.
I know you do.
I can't help but put them together. So now that she has had the father figures pass in her life and she stands as a strong, independent woman, she's going to go out and find the love that she deserves and that she wants to bring into her life. There's no more baggage of father stuff. There's not going to be any more
daddy
anger.
Issues.
I wasn't going to say daddy issues, but like anger towards that, abandonment stuff, anything like that. That's all. Guess what? We're fucking burning that shit. We're wiping it off. That's it. I cussed really bad and it's the recording still. That's okay. I really understand. So this is when, if you've just went through some really hard stuff or things have ended, that's because this is the new beginning. This is the light half of the year that we're beginning. And it's like, find the stuff that makes you happy. Now go out and do it. Now you have the light to do that, to bring it to yourself, to bring it to the rest of your life. Or even just chill, because this love doesn't have to be about loving somebody else. This love can be about self-love as well, which is what we thought the cards were saying to her first, was she needed more self-love or work on that first, like valuing herself before a relationship. But really, it had something else planned. Deep. Yeah. Okay. So since I got to tell on you, I feel like I was redeemed and all the times that you brought up all my stuff. All right.
We do tell on each other here.
We do. We spill all the beans of both sides. So magical focuses, you guys. If you're looking at doing spell work or rituals around these things, this is a good time of year to do it. And like I said, if you already thought about it, this is your little nudge. This is your extra nudge from the universe.
But so confirmation from the universe that whatever you've been thinking about, you need to act on. It's time to act on it. So let's hear it.
All right. They are abundance spells. So with abundance, you've got wealth, health, and love. So bringing in some more of something that you're looking for. There is fertility, and that can be with children, or that can be in gardens. If you want to learn to grow something, if you want to get better with your green thumb. Then there's growth specifically, which can be more like skills and knowledge, like growing your soul, growing you personally, growing your mind.
Spiritual, personal,
job,
knowledge.
Growth also in friendships. So this is when, if you've held back from getting close to people, now would be a good time to engage in these friendships to do one of two things. Yes, continue to get closer to them, or to weed them out and be like, I started this, we met at a bar, we kind of get along, I don't really know this person. Just let it go. You can delete the contact and be like, yeah, I move on, and I'm inviting something else into my life that fits me better.
Oh my gosh. I just inadvertently let a friend go because I didn't wish her happy birthday last week. And I was like, why didn't I do that? And I think it's just because it's been like 20 years since I seen her. I only hear from her around birthdays. And I was like, and I didn't wish her happy birthday.
Is it?
Angela.
I knew it was Angela. I should have said it where you said
Angela.
Aww,
yeah.
Angela.
And I don't know I'm not sure how I feel about it, but it's just like, we're not going to see each other. I don't know. It's kind of a weird thing because I always wish her happy birthday, and I didn't this year, and I knew it was her birthday, and I was like, I don't know. Sometimes, when you're wishing happy birthdays, you feel like it's obligatory, and that's, I don't know. Is it obligatory?
It doesn't have to be.
No.
You get to choose where you put your energy.
Only if you want it to be. So
choose where you put your energy. Don't let other people's standards hold you to something that you're just
or
like,
don't let the
why.
standards that you set for yourself like 25 or 30 years ago stay with you because it's a pattern that you've had.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, well, I've always done this for 30 years. Yeah. I've done this.
Just shed that.
Well, but does your energy belong there anymore? I mean, is it still serving you? I guess that's the thing to ask yourself. Is that still serving you? And it wasn't, so I didn't. It's weird. Oh, anyway, so
she just got a little nudge.
Interesting that you would say to shed things.
So with love, we discussed calling it in, having self-love, spicing up relationships. I'm newly married. We're going on 3 years in June, but I'm always thinking about how to keep our relationship exciting and fun. And a lot of times we feel like teenagers together. I'm like, well, that's good as long as that doesn't go away.
Last week we were looking at fornication. Furniture.
Mom.
Furniture, which is furniture you can get down on.
Not like
we were testing it out.
Not like sex things or anything, because nobody knows that we're talking about like an outdoor
furniture
set.
is outdoor furniture, but you got to be able to, we were testing it out like, okay, is this going to work? No, it's going to need to be a little bigger than that. Now I'm spilling the beans on her.
Mine was way more personal. Now I feel like I need to explain. It's just a new couch set for outside. And yes, once my son leaves the house and I have the house to ourselves, I can imagine us being able to do what we want, where we want, when we want. And so I was like, I'm preparing for that by buying a couch big enough.
Which includes sex in every place on the property. So, hey, it's a beautiful thing. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
It's beautiful.
Moving right along. Manifestation. I'll just pretend like I'm not blushing. With manifestation, it's the most important thing to remember. You don't have to do anything to manifest. You're always manifesting with your thoughts. But keep this little saying, this little rhyme always. What you think about, you bring about all the time. So if you want to manifest something, use statements like it's already happened and just think that thought over and over and over again. If you want to feel abundant and wealthy, say that to yourself. I am abundant. I am wealthy. I am abundant. I am wealthy. Same thing goes with health. Think to yourself that you're healthy instead of standing in the mirror saying something like, I hate these rolls. Why does my arm have to wave twice when I, wave to people?
Don't even look. I'm glad you can't see my back.
So there's just, instead of focusing on those things, say things that you want to be true as if they've already happened. And remember that what you think about, you bring about. So that's with manifestation. Energy follows thought. So whatever thought you put out there, the energy behind it is just flowing and bringing it into your life. With protection, we talked about that, doing it for your home, your car, do something for traveling. If you do have to go to parties where you're not going to be comfortable, take something that you feel protects you with you. I did. We met up with somebody off of Meetup. She invited us to a party, lovely lady, but I had no idea what we were walking into. I took a small knife with me. I was like, listen, you don't know. I don't I don't play. I was in the military. I've traveled places. I've been mugged before. You just never know. So do things that make you feel safe. Go to places thinking about your own personal protection, whether that's, you know, psychic protection from people that you don't want attention from, or physical protection. I don't carry a gun anymore. I used to have a concealed weapons permit, and I just don't do that any longer because I felt like thinking about that was going to make it come true. So it's one of those things that I eliminated. I was like, nope, none of that's happening to me. Okay, so then purification is the cleaning outside. I already told you guys my challenge was like, if you find a space that you really want to purify, take everything out of it and only put the things back in that you really love, that are useful, that bring you joy. Lastly is just correspondences, and I could take a picture of this instead of going over it. Yeah, we only have 15 minutes left, and I definitely wanted to open the floor up for questions, but the Beltane correspondences, which are, again, they're from this book, and it's just colors that are associated with it, some herbs, trees, flowers, stones, and animals. You can probably find it on the internet, and it's really less important about what the book says goes with this holiday, but more about what you feel or what you see in your environment. You know, nobody would put that Beltane's associated with coconuts, but in Florida, the coconut is a summer fruit. I mean, you can have it all the time. So for me, my list differs when I do stuff because I really try to go off what's in my area during that time.
Which is a really good idea instead of like shipping it from wherever.
Yeah.
Because you feel like you have to have that particular thing that's not native to your environment. So it's really good to learn. I think that's a good point to make about this is a time of year where you can get out into nature and start to learn things around you, like what grows naturally, so that you can learn those things, and then eventually they will come into play as you hone your craft and practice your craft and advance in your craft. So I mean, we'll take a picture of this. That way we can let you guys ask questions if you have any questions about the holiday. So this is what it looks like. We're going to post it. You know, you can't really see it, but Jamie will take a picture. It's just a bunch of correspondences like flowers and colors and, you know, what things mean.
No, not what anything means. Just
well, you said white. What does that mean?
That's what it goes with. So white is lunar energies.
Okay.
I mean, it's just a correspondence like that.
It's correspondences would be a good reference to put in your book of shadows, your witchy journal, your grimoire, whatever you call your particular
witch book
notebook that you keep of all the things that you're learning. Which, if you're not doing that, it's a great time to start it.
Nudge, nudge, nudge.
Nudge, nudge, nudge. Yeah.
Okay. So everybody have a wonderful night. And if you're in the next meetup, we'll see you in a half hour. And if not, we'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.